Hello and welcome to this Oak Tree English video on how to use the active and passive voice. This video will act as a reminder of the tenses video I made. We'll look at using present, past and future forms in both the active and passive voice. But what are these voices? The active voice is the one we most often use. This is when a subject does a verb to an object. For example, Columbus discovered America, where Columbus is the important focus. The passive voice is where the subject and object are inverted. For example, America was discovered by Columbus, where America is the passive agent. Columbus is not important and can be completely left out if you wish, so that America was discovered in 1492, or simply America was discovered. Let's not get into the historical accuracy of this. I'm only talking about the grammar. So the passive voice, how is it formed? The passive voice is formed with the auxiliary verb be followed by the past participle. Be is conjugated as normal. I am, you are, he is, etc. The past participle is the part of the verb which is used in the present perfect. It's also formed by adding ed. It's often formed, usually formed by adding ed, though there are many common irregular verbs such as drink, which are distinct from the past simple. For example, drink, drank, drunk. Drink is the infinitive. Drank is the past simple and drunk is the past participle. An auxiliary verb is the one which helps the main verbs such as do and have. In a tense where an auxiliary verb is already used, the passive auxiliary be takes the past participle and the main verb follows its normal pattern in that tense. For example, I have never visited Buckingham Palace. This is a present perfect tense. I have is the auxiliary verb. I have never visited. Visited is the past participle because it's in the present perfect tense. I have never visited Buckingham Palace. To put this in the passive, watch this. Buckingham Palace has never been visited by me. Buckingham Palace is now the subject of the sentence, though it is also the object of you. We've changed it round. So Buckingham Palace has, notice it's changed from have to has because I have, but Buckingham Palace has third person singular. Has never been visited. See that been there. In the present perfect, the auxiliary is have, which changes the following verb to the past participle, such as visit to visited. But in the passive voice, be changed to been, and visit responded to the passive auxiliary to become, or in this case remain, the past participle visited. I will highlight the verb phrases as we go through. I hope this slide hasn't been too confusing. Let's see what happens on the next slide, see if it's any clearer. So let's have a look at some present tenses. Let's start off with the first tense that you ever learned in English, the present simple. So let's take a nice present simple sentence about a present king. King Charles III rules the UK. God bless you, sir. I've never met him, but I'm convinced that King Charles III watches Oak Tree English every night. King Charles III rules the UK. In the passive voice, the UK is ruled by King Charles III. Would you like to see that in the present continuous? Of course you would. So in the present continuous, Prince Harry is annoying the royal family. At the moment, Prince Harry is annoying the royal family. There he is being annoying. And to put this in the passive voice, the royal family is being annoyed by Prince Harry. Why that's annoying is you can do your own research on. That's not relevant. The royal family is being annoyed. Prince Harry is annoying. That's the active voice. In the passive voice, notice being there, be has changed into the present participle, which is the ing form, is being annoyed. And annoy has changed to the past participle because it's following be, the passive auxiliary. I feel I'm not making this clear. I'll give you a few more examples. Let's see what happens. So let's talk about some past tenses. I'm going to stick with the royal theme. In the past simple, can we think of a past royal king? King Henry VIII, he's a big famous one. King Henry VIII married 6 wives. Not all at once, that would be very wrong and weird. He married 6 wives. However, you could just as easily say that 6 women were married to Henry VIII. Were married, passive voice, the auxiliary be followed by the past participle. This married is one of those regular verbs where, well, fairly regular verbs, where the past participle and the past tense are actually the same. Let's talk about the past continuous, and I'm going to try to mention the past continuous without singing a human lead song. You were working as a waitress in a cocktail. Too late. So in the past continuous, let's talk about Henry V. We'll stick with some Henrys. Henry V was fighting France in 1415. Remember, the past continuous is to give background information. So if you wanted to know the background of what happened in 1415, that's the Battle of Agincourt, by the way. Sorry to all French people who are watching. Henry V was fighting, was being the verb to be, but this time the auxiliary of the past it is the continuous auxiliary. Now let's make that, and then it's followed by ing, which is the present participle, not the gerund. That's a different thing, which is also spelled the same way with ing. It gets very confusing. There's Henry V, by the way. Let's see what happens in the passive voice. France was being fought by Henry V in 1415. So here the passive auxiliary be has changed to an ing form because it's following was. The picture that you can see just below me, by the way, was done by a chap called Matt Ryan, who's a historical illustrator of some renown, and you can check out more of his work by watching a video that he and I made together. It's on this channel. France was being fought. Fought here is the past participle of fight. So the main verb has changed because of the passive voice. Okay, so we've been to the present and we've been to the past. What's left? Let's talk about the future. There's a couple of future forms I want to talk about. I'm going to use future with will. And who better to talk about than Prince William, the Prince of Wales. Prince William will wear the crown next. There's Prince William, and he will wear the crown next. See what I did there? Now, if we put that into the present tense, the perfect voice, if we put that into the passive voice, we're going to need to shove a be in, aren't we? So, the crown will be worn. by Prince William next. Look at what verbs have changed. So the auxiliary, the will auxiliary, which is a modal auxiliary, not that you need to know that, hasn't changed. However, it's a modal auxiliary like will, must, might, can, is always followed by an infinitive. So in the case, in the active voice, that was where. In the passive voice, the verb be is in the infinitive form. And then following that comes the past participle. The crown will be worn by Prince William next. There he is. Okay, let's talk about going to. What's going to happen? Here I've got to think of a planned event in the future. Oh look, Britain is going to hold a coronation on May the 6th. Britain is going to hold a coronation on May the 6th. Would you like to see that in the passive voice? Oh, of course you would. A coronation is going to be held on May the 6th. Notice we've just thrown Britain out. We don't need to know that it's Britain holding the coronation. We just need to know that a coronation is going to be held. I've put coronation in red. I shouldn't have. That was a mistake. Don't draw attention to that. I may have just done so. So a coronation is going to be held on May the 6th. Well, we've done past, we've done present, we've done future. Let's talk about the perfect tenses. Let's do present. I'm just going to do present and past perfect. I'm not going to do all the continuous and the future perfect and things like that. Just doing present and past. So present perfect. King Charles III has always loved his garden. There he is in his garden at Highgrove in Gloucestershire, and he has always loved his garden. It's been a major thing in his life. Let's put that in the passive voice. His garden has always been loved by King Charles III. His garden has always been loved by King Charles III. What's that? You want to see how this works in the past perfect? Well, for the past perfect, we're going to have to go to King Charles III's uncle, a somewhat dishonourable chap who discarded his duty by thinking with his lower brain. An American divorcee, because that's always been good for the monarchy. Edward VIII had abdicated the throne before he married. There he is, Edward VIII, and he married an American lady, an American divorcee called Wallis Simpson. But he couldn't do that and remain king, and certainly not head of the Church of England. Edward VIII had abdicated the throne before he married. Let's put that in the passive voice. The throne had been abdicated before Edward VIII married. The throne had been abdicated before Edward VIII married. Okay, I hope this is shed a little bit of light. If you wanted to do future perfect, it would be something like John will have passed an exam will have been passed by John. Is that sort of formulation. But we're not going to go into that now. I hope this video has helped you to understand the passive voice a little more, and maybe even learn a bit of British royal history too. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Goodbye.